We are live. Hello. We will wait for some people to come into the stream, but the truth of the matter is, once this is done live, it is going to repost to my page and you can watch it whenever you want to. That's the thing. So, welcome everybody back for Truth Talk with Ravenflower. That's me. And this is my son, Ridley. I have to say it the other way. I got to go this way. It's reversed. There you go. This is my son. And Ridley is my kid, my middle child, although it's complicated because we're a blended family. So really my second child, but then I guess my second child in both situations. Yeah. Second child in both situations.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I physically have had two babies, and this is the second baby that popped out. And it's the second baby that is age-wise, you're in the second spot. So there you go. So this is my kiddo Ridley, and we are going to talk tonight about, first of all, I have to say, Ridley is extremely brave to come on and talk about this. I am telling you right now, before you guys get comfortable with a little snack and a little drink, you're going to go get your tissues, because I debated whether or not I was going to put on any makeup for this. And then I'm like, no, because I know where this is going to go. We're going to cry, and I'm going to ugly cry tonight, and that's going to be a thing.
You make it sound like I'm going to like bully you or something.
No, it's not that. It's just it's an emotional talk.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just come out and say it. You know, Ridley is transitioning from my daughter Rachel to my son Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? And we have been going through this transition for a little while, but it's been really heightened as we were talking about this whole COVID situation. You work from home, therefore you have spent a lot of time with yourself and asked yourself a lot of these deep questions. And there is just so much stuff that's coming out in this foreshadow work that everybody is doing. So while Ridley and I were on the phone last week before, I can't remember anymore. The whole reason this Truth Talk series happened was because we were on the phone and we were talking about stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, there are some viewers of mine on my channel that are going through some of these similar situations. If we could be transparent and vulnerable talking about this, I think it would really empower some people out there. Not one, to know that they're not alone, know that there is a lot of work and a lot of research and a lot of everything going on, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we are pretty much at the beginning of your journey, and I wanted to let you go ahead and talk about that.
I mean, I don't even quite know where to start when it comes to like talking about the journey. Like, I know you and I were talking, I guess last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I'm not even sure. Time is an illusion at this point. I'm not sure time quite exists with everything with COVID. And that's on what? That's on living alone during a global-wide pandemic and working from home. Got no concept of time anymore. But I like, you and I were talking, and you and I have had we're okay now, but you and I have had a very complicated history.
We've had a very complicated history. Do you want me to just go over the like mile markers real quick?
I mean, we can.
I can set the stage. Okay, so I had Ridley with my former husband, who shall not be named. We refer to him as biological. He's horrible. And Ridley and I both had suffered abuse by him, and it was really awful, and he didn't want to pay child support anymore, so he signed his rights over, and Bear adopted you.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that's how that went, and that was in junior high, I want to say. Or was no, no, that was not. He just decided he was no, he did sign everything over when you were
I was
coaching.
like, I was like 11. I was in seventh grade. So
Right. Okay.
it was like end of sixth grade, beginning of seventh grade, if
Gotcha.
I'm remembering correctly. So I was like 11, about to be 12.
Okay.
I'm 24 now.
24. Um, so there's that. And then I have two step kiddos, Casper and Amber, and pretty much raised these kids as they're all the same siblings. They actually look alike. It's very interesting because they would get a lot of people that would say, "Oh yeah, your sister, they look like your sisters," or that type of thing. And it was just constant. Or even with you and Casper out and about, it was
Mhm.
always like we just always looked like a family. And heck, we are. We just are different.
Yeah.
So definitely blended, definitely dealing with exes on both sides, and that struggle is real. So, oh, it was at least 3 years of litigation um, in order for me to win custody of Ridley. And shortly thereafter, Ridley started feeling the abuse and getting it on a personal level instead of it just coming at me,
Mhm.
um, and didn't want to go see him anymore. And so I had enough with the court system and everything, and the attorneys that kept saying I had to make Ridley available and make sure that they get in the car with him and go have a good weekend and like talk him up like he's this wonderful guy, and I just said no more. I'm not doing it. I'm going to pack the bag and I'm going to make sure that it's next to the door, but it's going to be Ridley's choice whether or not they want to go.
Mhm.
And I think when we started that, I know that in our conversation that's kind of how we got here, where when I finally had wasn't going to coddle the situation and pretend like the situation wasn't, you know, a wonderful thing, that
Mhm.
somehow flipped a switch in you in starting self discovery. And I think that's where we started our conversation a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much like we were talking about how you and I personally have gone through our own spats with just each other personally, like within the past like 4 to 5 years. Like it has been a journey for us to be as close as we are now.
It has been hard. We were thick as thieves when Ridley was growing up, like
Mm.
super close. Like I couldn't pee without this kid, like right right there all the time. I mean, you used to crawl in bed and snuggle. You used to, I mean, you were always like running and hugging, or want to be like right next to me on the couch. I mean, we were very, very close. And then we went through the drama and the trauma that we went through with the church.
Mhm.
And that really put a wedge between us because I, in the church, was being told that my kid is out of control and I need to do something about it and I need to be stronger parent and all this other stuff. And they made it all a lot of my fault and Ridley's fault, and we ended up leaving the church. I ended up leaving the religion.
Mhm.
And then when I took up witchcraft because I was rebuilding what my beliefs were,
Mhm.
this was not a good time for Ridley and myself. It was really, really volatile. We didn't communicate very well. We really couldn't be in the same room together
Without
because
fighting.
everything you said, I took personally. Everything I said, you took personally, and vice versa. I think I might have said that the same way at the same time. It was just like we just couldn't find a common ground. And then I believe you were also not taking care of yourself during that
No.
time. You were not in a
Um,
healthy way, so that complicated things substantially.
I was going through a very, very hard personal time at right after a period of big change. us leaving the church, because that was my comfort space for a very long time. That's where I felt safe. I had like dropped most of my friends because I was like severely bullied in school. And all of the things that I had for like comfort were kind of like swept out from underneath me.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, bad people take advantage of that. And I was in a really bad situation. I was in a really abusive relationship. And I was struggling with mental health and borderline personality disorder. And that led to a lot of impulsive, reckless decisions that I'm like dealing with the consequences of now. Still facing some of those things, trying to fix those things, trying to move on and move forward. We got better coping skills now, but it's a matter of fixing shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
Good. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
You're allowed to curse. Yeah, it was really difficult. And as a mom, you know that your kid's going through something, but when you're not able to communicate with each other, it was horrendous. It was a horrendous time for them, and it was an extremely hard time for me as well. And there was a lot of crying on both ends, and not knowing whether or not my kid was safe, if they're coming home, if they're not coming from home, or have they eaten? What have they put in their body today? Like, I mean, I was sick. I was just so emotionally wrecked. It was awful, and I needed to do something to not focus 100% on you, because I had to. You know what it is. It's the worst part of parenting. In this chapter, it is the worst part. You have to kind of like, and I've said this before, you have to basically watch your kid run into the street over and over again and possibly get hit by a car. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do, because it's their choice. They are now an adult. And you have to just sort of stand by and hope that they come back to you. And it sucks. It really, really sucks.
It like a lot of our stuff like also boiled down to like us not being able to communicate, like we like touched on like briefly earlier. Like we weren't able to be in the same room with each other. And I have a very stubborn way of communicating that's very passionate and very much like, and I don't, it's taken me a while, but I generally like, if I'm very passionate about something, I don't have the time to like, let me educate you. I'm like, no, why don't you get it? Get it. And I'll get really upset. And then I'm like, fuck you. And I'll,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've learned to be better about it. Cause that
You're a
didn't
lot
serve me.
better. You're a lot better about it. I mean, it does not help that you are a Gemini and I am a Virgo. It does not help. It doesn't help. And there's some hereditary traits about the two of us that we, in some ways, are so similar that when we are both kind of doing the same thing or in the same mind frame, it's not easy for us to go anywhere with that. Like we either have to yield to the other person and allow that person to be them for that time frame, or it's like it's very difficult. It's sometimes you're all air and I'm all earth, and it's very difficult sometimes for me. I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, the thing is I realize that I actually have a lot more fire in my chart than I do anything else.
See, and I'm earth and water, and you're air and fire. We're complete opposites.
Yeah.
Complete opposites, but a lot of same similarities. Like we're broke in the same ways,
Yeah.
So we're trying to learn how to parent ourselves now and heal from past trauma. And, we're very skeptical. I think that you and I are both very skeptical at first of others. It's difficult at times. And yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So I think you're more openly friendly than I am. I'm just burnt out.
I seem very friendly, and I am to an extent, but I don't let people in unless you are trusted. There's select few that I'll trust, and then you'll get to know me, and I get to like reveal the layers and the onion of the onion. Just like
Feel that layer.
Here's a little bit of trauma for you. Here's a little. Like when it came to us, I don't think that we saw any growth within our personal relationship when I became an adult until we were able to see each other as adults and not hold on to the image, mindset, idea that we had of each other when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that being one of the like big things when I didn't know how to talk to you. It's like, I wish that my mom could just see me for who I am now. Mm-hmm. You know, because a lot of the time, like, because we struggled with like intimacy during that time period, like, you know, you'd be like, hug me, and I'd be like, I don't know how to now, because
that I would just like try to like love my kid, and you would not have it. You would push me away, hurt me like to my core. It just hurt me to my core, but it's like, I'm not giving up on them. I'm not giving up. I love them.
But I didn't know how to, because it felt like, because we had gone through a very big like very big fight, and we had never really quite talked about everything or really like resolved it for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so like when I came back from that, it felt like trying to just pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't do. And then it would be like, you know, you'd be like, let's watch Glee and cuddle on the couch, and be like, I don't know how to do that with you anymore. Like, and it was, I remember just thinking like, I love her, but I wish she could see me for who I am now, like who I have grown to be, because in even just those 2 years of me right after high school, I radically changed as a person. I was a completely different person.
Completely different person. And I was coming from the perspective of, okay, I don't know how to bridge the conversation. I don't know how to talk about this because I don't want to rile them up, and I don't want to escalate anything with this person. You know, it's in the past, leave it in the past, which is the advice that I was given, and to just let it go and try to pick up from where we left off. And the truth of the matter was, I didn't know where the hell we left off. And I was just like, okay, what felt good? And okay, it's Glee and cuddling on the couch, you know, like, and I tried to go back to places or spaces that felt safe for me, but they no longer felt safe for you. So,
and it was just a thing that we couldn't, like, I didn't even know how to like tell you that at that point, because it felt like everything that I said like hurt you, but I was still trying to like hold my own ground and be like, no, this is me now. And we just weren't on the same page. And it took us.
You were very abrasive for the time. You were very abrasive.
I was on complete defense survival mode. And that's something that I've had to work through with myself, with mental health, and like getting out of the relationships that I was in, and just moving forward and trying to be a better person. I was in complete panic survival mode for years, and coming out of that, I was like, oh, okay, we gotta reevaluate that. That's not serving us. Let's okay, cool. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna evaluate these feelings. We're gonna really work out like what at the root, what at the core is making us upset. We're going to voice that in a way that's not just so confrontational. Because I didn't know how to talk to anybody during that time without just seeming like I was yelling at them or angry or
so intense.
Yeah.
So intense.
I'm also a Taurus Mercury, so everything just comes out very blunt.
And Mercury is the planet that I just cannot get along with ever.
And I'm a Mercury ruled planet with being a Gemini.
So wow.
It's a cruel joke.
This takes me back to when you were coming, you know, I was in labor with you, and I was like trying to hold you in so that we could get past the Gemini point. You know, like I was trying hard, but there was just no way.
Mm-mm.
I tried to manipulate that because I'm a Virgo and I'm like, I'm gonna have the baby I'm gonna like, the catalog baby. Babies can't be Geminis. No, no, no. This is not gonna bode well for me. But you were such a sweet baby and such a good kid. You were a very good teenager. And then all hell broke loose.
Well, yeah, but all hell broke loose. But I mean, I was a good teenager. I was a good kid. But I wasn't the teenager that went out and partied. I wasn't
Nope.
the teenager that went out and hung out with a lot of friends. I basically just worked and would go to school, go to
And go to
church.
church. Yep.
Like I didn't have a whole lot of like a social life or like have a lot of those like critical like teenage years experiences.
No, there was
So
no stealing of cars or any of that stuff. There was the party that you had when I was in England that you think I don't know about, but I do. But I do.
didn't have a party, but okay. I'm
Well,
24 and I can tell you I did not have a party.
I'm 46 and I'm telling you that you did because cops came to our house afterwards and said, "Oh yeah, I came here before. There was all these cars and nobody would come to the door."
I didn't have a
You remember
party.
when
I had some friends over and we just sat in my room and watched movies.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter.
Okay. All
Does not
right.
matter. Okay, okay.
All right.
No,
But
no, what we do. This is what we
but I
do.
didn't I didn't have those experiences as a young teenager. So when I hit like 18, 19, and all the mental health stuff came out and I
Mhm.
had some sort of quote unquote freedom, I was just like, let's make all the bad decisions right now. I
Yeah.
got out my wiggles within those 2 years. I turned 21. It's like, I don't want to get drunk anymore. I don't, I'm good. I'm
No.
done. I got my wiggles out.
Yeah.
I, I just went very, very gung ho into having those experiences because I felt like I had missed out and everybody around me had already had those experiences. So I felt like I had to catch up
Oh,
and,
okay.
and it aged me a lot.
Age too a lot.
A lot. There was a lot of things that happened during that time period that just like affected my relationships with people, affected how I thought about things, like affected me in a lot of different ways, Like I had friends who died. I had um I ended up with addiction issues. I ended up in an abusive relationship. I, you know, saw and experienced a lot during that time period and I dealt with it relatively alone. Like
You
not that
didn't
you
have
wouldn't
to. You didn't
not
have to, but that
yeah,
was what you thought. Yeah.
not that like I knew that you wouldn't be supportive. I know that if I had talked to you about those things that, you know, you would have cared and you would have been there for me. But it was one of those things where I just didn't know how
How I was gonna.
after all that time to be like, hey, by the way, I'm struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ended up pretty much dealing with it alone because even then like the friend circle that I had at that point, they didn't really care about me. They all just wanted to get high or get drunk or do whatever.
Hmm.
And I left I was left just very isolated and dealing with it all by myself. And because of that, it affected the way that I communicated with people. Like it felt like just everybody wanted something from me
Oh,
that I couldn't give.
yeah.
And so then it turned into like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell anybody anything because if they help me, that they're just going to want something as a return or favor or like I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it fucked me up for a while and it's taken a lot of years to even just try to unlearn that sort of thinking or even ask for help
Mm-hmm.
or be vulnerable with others. And I think a big factor in our relationship getting better was me breaking down those walls and just being very like, okay, yeah, no, I need to talk to you about shit that happened. I
Yeah.
need to talk to you and be authentic with you and like show
But
you who
here's
I
my
am.
boundaries. but here are my boundaries, and if I'm not ready to talk about certain things, then we're going to
Mm.
have to do some of that. So we went through that for 2 years.
Mm,
So like
for like,
when I moved,
uh,
I know that you were really upset that I was coming to the Pacific Northwest and not there, even though you weren't living at home anymore. You weren't really coming over. You didn't really spend much time with me.
mm,
While I was still in Texas, it wasn't a thing, and we still weren't good. We still
mm.
weren't good, officially. But you were just, I guess, felt very betrayed that I was picking up and moving to the other side of the country.
It wasn't necessarily a betrayal. I feel like it was more so I was just scared shitless because, Casper and Amber, they have a support system here.
Yeah.
They have their mom here, they have other family here. I don't.
Yeah.
I have Mr. Bear's friend who helps me out on occasion. But, like, it was, oh shit, you need to get your shit together right now, and you have no leeway to fuck up. You have no leeway to fuck up. And it was my first time, like, moving out and actually living by myself. And it was just scary. It was scary. And
It's a scary time
yeah.
for anybody. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you can see the comments, but I can see some of the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer, I love you too.
Jennifer Ball. Oh gosh.
um,
I'm sorry, you guys. Coughing.
but no, it took me a long time to actually be vulnerable with you. And like the idea that I had was like, oh, I wish that my mom could just see me for who I am. Now, as an adult, like it took me realizing, like, well, what have you actually shared? What have you actually like told her? How is she going to know who you are if you're not telling her
Yeah.
or being honest or open or vulnerable? Like, how are you supposed to know that I'm struggling if I'm not telling you? And I'm just like, I'm fine. Like,
Right. There was a while there that I was just like, okay, is every phone call going to be like a hidden bomb? That it's like, oh, hi, mom, how you doing? Are you okay? Oh, okay, I got something to tell you. And
yeah.
I'm like, what? What? I can't take it more. Like
I
the
can
shock.
take going through it.
I know, but it was just like, how much more is there going to be? And I mean, can we talk about, how it was really presented to me? Like you had let everybody else know in your private life what was going on, and dad and I were the last to know, which wasn't great. It wasn't great because we were like 3 years behind, and talk about having to catch up. Like I didn't like, and it was sort of presented in a way where it's like, okay, we're going to give you some grace and some understanding, but it's just like, but the next time I talk to you, you better get it right. And my pronouns are this, and my this is that, or whatever. And you were just like really hard and fast, and we're like, we have to get it right. Like, I mean, and it was a different type of stress because I've broken down on the phone with you a couple of times where I accidentally, dropped a she, and I didn't know if you heard it or not. And then I'm just bawling because I'm so concerned that you're going to take it badly or think that there was some malice on my part and why, it slipped. Oop, and here comes my grand cat. This is Bug. This is Bug the cat. But I was like so petrified. I think I was paranoid that it was immediately going to be you assuming that I didn't care and that I was, forcing these pronouns on you and that I wasn't doing my stuff and that we were going to go right back to that unhealthy spot.
I
And I
mean,
was terrified.
I, to be fair, when it came to like me actually talking about my pronouns, like it's very natural for anybody on the trans spectrum to test them out with friends first, see how they feel, see what feels right. And I had been doing that for a little bit, like with the just strictly they them, with strictly just non-binary pronouns. Testing them out with friends and such. And then, you know, I dated the last guy I dated, and he started using them for me fully, because I told him, like, you know, I have never felt like a girl. I don't like when people call me a girl. I don't like being seen as like feminine in the way that girls are. Like, to me, like, femininity is an accessory, not an identity for me. It's not something that I've ever really quite related to or felt like fit me. Like, if I wear makeup, it's because I want to be artistic, not because I want to look feminine. You know, I want to express, but not necessarily, like, it's just gender stuff. Weird. But I had started playing around with that, and then it was like strictly used for me for a while, and then when that started happening, something clicked in my brain. I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Like, this, it all makes fucking sense. Because for a long time, you know, I told friends, like, oh, I go by all pronouns because it's convenient for others. Because it was more convenient for others. So, you know, if they did call me she, then, you know, I couldn't get mad because I said it was all pronouns and I'd be okay with anything. But nobody would use anything other than she for me, and it always hurt.
Yeah. And the chipmunk voice I gave you isn't helping. It's not helping. So, yeah. Okay. Before we go off track, I was gonna say, so Christmas, not last year, but the year before, you came, but you weren't actually here for Christmas Day or anything like that. It was more of, you came, I think you came for Yule, and you were just like dead set that you were only going to be here for 3 days and no more. Like, I don't want to be there for more than that long. You know, like I was trying to coax Ridley into a week, and that was not going to happen. That was
I couldn't make it happen with work.
Well, also when you were here, it was a bit of a struggle, and there was this tension. There was this crazy tension because I don't know what the expectations are for our relationship. I know that we love each other. I know that we miss each other. It's the holidays. It's time for family, but we just hadn't really had those big talks yet, and it was just a holidays full of tension. It was really rough. And
then I hadn't made the decision to be out to you and Mr. Bear yet, because, you know, we still had all that tension, and I knew that there was a lot of stuff in my life going on, and it felt like another thing that I was just going to be dropping on you, and I wasn't ready to tell all that. And then
it should be your choice to say that when you are ready. Yeah.
And then Amber didn't mean harm. She was trying to use my correct pronouns because she got used to it when talking to me separately, and then dropped it on the middle, like, Christmas morning.
Morning at the breakfast table.
I remember you turned to me and you were just like, "Are you a they? Are you one of them?" And I was
like, do you prefer they? Like, is that what's happening right now? Yeah, like I was like, it's not that I didn't see it coming. It's that I wasn't told it was official, I guess. And so it's like,
it felt like you were left out of the loop.
I was just totally, I guess, blindsided. I was blindsided. Go get your bug. It's okay.
No, sorry. He was just being stinky for a second.
Mhm. Um, so yeah, it was, and then I was more upset with the fact that not that I was getting the information at that point, but how the information was presented. And then I was angry at my daughter, Amber, real angry that I'm like, you don't take it just because it is a secret that you've been carrying for that long. It's not your business to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and I were trying to get back on track
Mm-hmm.
and didn't need it to be presented in that way. Like it was just not great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before you left, I made it real clear and wrote you will note, and I'm always writing letters and lists. It is it is who I am, and my kids tease me about this. Hello. It is what it is.
Hi, Elaine. I see Elaine.
Lady here, Lady Bane. Hi, Lady. I see Desert Siren and Jennifer Ball, Jennifer Kingston, Lady Blind Wolf. Who else is in here? Snow. Snowy.
Hi, Snow.
Snowy Snow. I saw Mary Jane. There's a bunch of people in this chat. Honey Outlet Moon, Moon Whisper. I thought I saw Noah. I think I Noah. I see that Noah.
I just want
Noah.
to. I just want to make sure I'm addressing chat every once in a while, because otherwise I'll just keep talking.
That is the thing. And I get, yes, you chat people keep me honest for sure. For sure. So, okay. So then you left, Christmas, not this past year, but the year prior, and you went back and you went through a rigmarole of stuff too. There was a lot of jobs. There were a lot of job changes. There were, problems with a former roommate, and it's like you guys realized you were better friends than you were roommates, and you were trying to get out of that situation. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think, you had said that you were going to move here, and then we were getting everything all set up or whatever, and you changed your mind and you used COVID as a reason, and it broke my heart because I'm like, look, Texas is going to be worse in like 2-3 weeks, and sure enough it was. Sure enough it was.
COVID was a reason. Traveling during that time did scare me for sure. But it was also, I thought that I had a support system here that I could rely on.
Yeah.
And it felt like, with everything with COVID and like with everything being as scary as it was, having y'all come up, pick me up, drive me halfway across the country, that seemed like spending way more money than needed to be spent right at that point. And it
Mhm.
made me feel bad with like the time period. I was like, I can't do that. Like, I'm just going to, like, I have an option here. I have a support group here. I'm going to make it work.
Mhm.
And yeah, like that was my reasoning behind it. It's like, okay, I don't want to cost them extra money, put them out in a weird situation that's going on with the world. Like, I can't do it. So I'm just going to stay here with a friend. I have an
Stick with it.
option here. Like, it seems like it's going to be like the cheaper option. And I thought COVID was only going to last like a month or two.
How's that working out? So
It's
how's that
not.
working out? It's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Um,
Be
well,
smart.
as time had gone on and you went through two different roommate situations, you are now in your own place
Mm-hmm.
and you've had a lot of time to think on things. And body image is one of them, gender is another.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, during COVID time, had forced me back into, dealing with past traumas and going back into counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally opened up enough cracks and doors for me to understand, um, or learn how to, um, re-relate with you.
Mm-hmm.
What my role is, not only in the workplace, which is why I started the counseling to begin with, because it's stuff at work was it's so, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why am I being so triggered? Why am I so upset? Why am I going through these things? And that's why I decided to go into counseling. However, that morphed into relationships with my kids, relationships with my husband, relationships with friends, letting go of toxic relationships, understanding what toxic relationships really are, dealing with a drama triangle and that type of thing, and realizing that I have been on this drama triangle as a defense mechanism for most of my life,
Mm.
and I need to get off, and then reminding myself of previous conversations that we had, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're not going to get anywhere if I keep making these mistakes, and I have to be a better, not just a better person, but a better mom. I need to find different ways to relate, because utmost for me was not your sexual orientation.
Mm.
It's not your gender situation. It's
Mm.
none of that. It's that you're my kid. You're a part of my life. I love you so incredibly much. And I just want you in my life. I just want you in my life. You're a pretty amazing person. And I would like to keep you in my life. And I think I can't go about 2, 3 days without, I really would like to talk daily. However, it's like, call your mom, call your mom a lot. But, we're always texting and we're always chatting and, you know, all that stuff. And it's like, the work you've done has definitely provided us a foundation. And then the work I chose to do has now opened the door, and we're doing the work together, I think,
Yeah.
is what I think that was a thing.
It.
Are you already crying?
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
cry
tearing
yet.
up. Stop
Don't
it.
cry yet.
Stop. Um, Fuck. I mm, I was really happy to see you decide of your own accord to seek out counseling,
Mhm.
because I really do think that it helped our relationship in a lot of ways. And now whenever you call me or text me, like, I'm excited to talk to you.
I
Hi, Betsy.
know. This
Hi,
is my
Betsy.
Bucky cat, my bugaboo. I love you so much. Grandcat. I will get on the phone with Ridley from time to time, and then Bug and I just sit and have a conversation. So they get up to go pee or whatever, and I'm sitting there with Bug, and Bug is meow meow. We're just talking back and forth, and I send him treats and all kinds of stuff, and he knows exactly who his grandma is. The grandma cat.
He just has a lot of feelings all the time. He gets all of the emotional crying from me. So he's just loud all the time. He just yells at me 24/7. So if you hear squeaking in the back, that's Bug. But no, it's gotten to a point where, like, I get excited to talk to you. I cherish the time that we get to spend together. Like, coming up and seeing you for Christmas
This
was
right here, people. I've waited 5 years to hear. 5 years. Like, I'm so like, this is finally where we got. This is where we got to. So hey, shadow work is a good thing, because this is kind of like, this is the result.
I
Keep on. I'd like to hear it one more time.
oh
Because
my god.
you get excited. What?
I'm too stubborn to repeat that. So like, coming up for Christmas, like, meant the world to me. Like, especially because I am alone here. I live by myself. I work from home. I don't have a roommate. I don't have transportation. I literally just, these walls that I got, that's all I got.
Mhm.
Like, this is the extent of my world, and that's been what it's been since, like,
October.
October, since I moved in here. But even before that, I was staying with a friend, but I didn't leave the house. I didn't see anybody.
And that
Like,
was 6 months, right? You were there for like 6 months.
mhm.
Mhm.
And it was very difficult because it was two elderly people that I was staying with, and they were very sweet to me, and it was very sweet of them to take me in when everything happened, because I was only supposed to be there for like 2 or 3 months while I saved up for a car.
Hmm.
So I could, get my own place and be set. Because a lot of my problems boil down, a lot of my personal problems, gender presentation put aside, um, boil down to me not having transportation, which makes most basic tasks for me very, very difficult. But we were trying to work that out, and I was very like blessed to have them help me. But they were two elderly people, so like it was
And
just
then COVID happened.
incredibly.
Yeah,
Huh?
and then COVID happens, and then you're not really able to go work in the same capacity, and then they're elderly people, and you got to keep them safe.
Hmm.
So what do you do? You know?
And I was working in the restaurant industry before everything happened. I could not go back to that, so I lost the job that I had where I was being paid a decent amount. Like I was
Yeah.
making decent money, and I was really good at my job. Um, but I had
Oh,
to lose that job in order to keep
hi,
them safe.
Christine.
Hi,
Christine's in the
Christine.
chat too.
Hi,
Can you see
Christine.
what they wrote for you?
Y'all are so nice to me. I'll cry at chat. I can't.
You're just crying at the chat. Oh, the chat people with the feels. So thanks.
But um, it was isolating because I couldn't get, like, they only wanted me to find a job where I could like work from home, and
Yeah.
that's really hard to find right now.
Yeah.
That's really difficult to find right now because everybody's trying to find those positions. It was virtual hug, yes. It was incredibly difficult to even just find a position, but even then, you know, the support system that I stayed here for, I could not have any access to. I was on the opposite side of town from them with no
Mhm.
transportation, living with elderly people, so I couldn't even go visit them if I wanted to, even if they were in my small little bubble and we were like safe and wore
Right.
masks, and because it would put the people that I was with at danger. I have not been hugged since Christmas.
That makes me sad. It makes
Yeah,
your mama sad.
I
Because
know.
I like to hug. I was
I like
hugging
to I like
something.
I like to hug too, but like it meant a lot for me to like finally see you again after we've like nurtured this relationship, and for you to, oh, I'm gonna cry, to see me for who I am now, because it was another situation where like I hadn't come out to you about my name. I hadn't come out to you about Ridley, and then somebody, I don't know who, told Mr. Bear that I was going by
I
some.
I believe it was one of our old biker friends, I think. Dad was chatting with them, and they had asked about what was happening for the holidays, and they're like, "Oh, Rachel's coming out for the holidays," and they had said, "Oh, I guess you know their daughter." I can't remember their name. I think it's
Hmm.
Betho. Is it Betho's daughter? I think you know Betho's daughter. You don't remember Betho. So it's, yeah, just anyhow, you know their daughter. You've hung out with them, and doing clubs and bands and stuff like that. So apparently they're in the same circles. I can't remember their name to save my life right now. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I figure it out. But
Okay.
he was just like, well, don't they go by a different name now? And we had thought that that was probably a stage name because we knew that you were doing performances and things
Hmm.
like that. So big mouth me, I just, the next phone call I get on there, I'm just like, hey, did we miss something? Like, did we were we like totally oblivious and missed something? Or is this like a stage name? And you just decided you were just going to be like, well, okay,
Oh,
here it
like
is.
there's really not much I can really say to that
Yeah.
without just lying. I mean, it did start off as a stage name.
Mhm.
But then, especially with, and this all boils down to having a lot of free time and a lot of time to think and ponder and explore yourself in the middle of a
Mhm.
pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, it started off as a stage name, and then all of the people that I knew in real life, I couldn't be around. So I had this internet persona that was Ridley,
Mhm.
and I met a bunch of people through the internet that have become like some of my closest friends now. Like the community that I have online is astounding. Like they straight up have kept me sane throughout this time period. You know, like when I'm lonely, I just video chat with them on Discord, or, you know, I made a lot of friends on TikTok.
Mhm.
Just, I found a community that's like actually a community that actually like, genuinely gives a shit. And they all knew me as Ridley, and they were calling me Ridley, and it was just sticking with me and sticking with me and sticking with me. And you know, I was still staying with Don at that point. I was still staying with the friend,
Mhm.
and you know, anytime he would call me by my dead name, I like it hurt, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, no, you found your name. You found your name, and you realize that going by anything else like hurts.
Yeah.
We need to explore that. So
Mm.
I started telling some people like, hey, this is all I want to go by, because going by my dead name, I can't do it anymore. It makes me pain.
Can you explain to the people watching what a dead name is? Because there's several people that don't understand that.
Yeah, no worries. So dead name is like for dead name is the name that you were born with, but if you are trans and you choose your name as you decide to transition,
Mm-hmm.
that name is not something you really want anybody to know anymore. It's not a name that you associate with anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your birth name. It's your dead name. You were like rebirthed. You got your own name. You're a new person. Still same memories. Still same, you know, personality. But that's what the term is. Just it's not a name that you use anymore. It's dead to you.
Yeah. I remember one of our talks was saying, okay, you're getting ready to come here. Do I need to be taking pictures down? Do I need to, whatever? Because you are definitely transitioning as
Mm-hmm.
a parent. I'm transitioning along with you in how, like, how do I relate? What do I say? What do I do? And I didn't, I was hyper aware because I watch a lot of, Queer Eye.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of Queer Eye,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one particular episode of them. I think they were redoing somebody's house, but there was somebody who had transitioned from a female to male, and
Mm-hmm.
they show them waking up after top surgery. And this was a while back, and this is before you would even come out to me
Mm-hmm.
about this, but it's like I didn't really get it until I saw the look on their face when they looked down and realized that their breasts weren't there anymore and
Yeah.
that they could feel a sigh of relief, and they just like broke down with tears of joy. And it was like it was really eye-opening to me. It was really, really eye-opening to me. And here we go. It's it's just really eye-opening to me. And I have friends that are trans, and it's a lot easier for somebody to meet somebody as their chosen pronoun
Mm-hmm.
than it is to, you know, there's a part of me, to if I'm being 100% honest, there's a part of me that was mourning the loss of my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that part of that parent that's also like, did I do something to have pushed them to this, direction? And then you realize it's nothing to do with about you, parent. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's clearly everything to do with this one. And I think I had said that to you when you finally came out to me, and I kind of already felt it coming, in a way, and wanted to just make sure that you knew that it has nothing to do with my wants, my needs, my anything. The fact that you're in my life, and because you're my kid, and because I love you. Well, if you love somebody, you respect that person and their wants and their needs and their boundaries. And the two of us are trying to figure out what that is now. We are
Mm-hmm.
not perfect by any means, shape, or form. And there are
Yes.
times when, because I have anxiety myself, and I have some other health issues, and there's certain days that I'm just down and I don't have a whole lot of energy to explore these tough conversations. And so sometimes I have to get off the phone faster, and I feel
Mhm.
bad about it because I know that you're ready to talk about something, and I'm like, I have to kind of wait for it, but I want you to have all of me when you decide to tell me the next bomb.
The recent bomb being that, I want to physically transition and be on testosterone and get top surgery because while I like feminine things, I don't want to present as feminine body wise. It's always made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
You
and
developed very early. As a
yes.
young girl, you developed very early, and there were creepers. There were creepers. I cannot tell you how many different times my poor husband has, white hair in places because trying to keep adult men off of this kid. No joke. Like at the gas station, wherever, being
Mhm.
catcalled, coming off of the bus. I
Mhm.
mean, crap like that. And
That's never stopped for me,
yeah,
regardless of like how I've presented. And it's one of the reasons why I don't feel comfortable walking alone anywhere because I can't. Um, like I can't. And everything about my body and like the way that I present now, there's no hiding the fact that I look feminine, and it makes me wildly uncomfortable. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize that's
mhm.
where a lot of the uncomfortableness was happening because I've always had body dysphoria ever since I was young.
Yeah,
Dysphoria being like you what you see in the mirror is not actually what is real. Like you either see something that's a lot fatter or a lot skinnier, or just like it just doesn't. You're looking at something, but it doesn't feel like you,
yeah.
and it can cause a lot of mental health issues, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. And I've always had variations of that since I was young. Um, and it never quite made sense to me. And like I was talking with Megan, my old roommate, the other day, because her and I have reconnected and we're in much better terms now. She sent me wine the other day so we could have a wine night.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a good
she
thing.
she lives in Austin. I live here, but she was like, "No, we're gonna talk on the phone. We're gonna have a wine night. You don't have wine. I'm sending you wine." And so we just had a little like wine night over like video chat. It was very cute. But
Very.
I was talking with her, and her and I have been friends for shit. I met her in like 2015. It's quite a while.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I think I have a picture of you two from Instagram, and I think it was when I made your senior scrapbook. I think I was stalking your Instagram and getting photos because this one and I had no good relationship, and I'm like, what pictures am I going to put in there? So I like literally infiltrated their Instagram and screenshotted everything and got everything in 2-inch squares just so that I could put pages in a scrapbook for this one. And I
yeah.
believe Megan was in there. So yeah, it had
Well,
to be.
no, because I met Megan after high school.
You did? No,
Yeah.
you
No, I
sure?
did. I did because I met Megan through Imagine.
I know, but you were going to Imagine during your whole senior year.
No,
Yes.
I went to Imagine once my senior year. Once.
That is incorrect, ma'am.
That is not
Sir.
incorrect.
That is the I already did it. That is incorrect, sir. That is incorrect. And I have my receipts, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay, I have my
I
lived
stand firm.
experience,
I
but all
stand
right.
firm on this.
Okay.
All
But
right.
Megan and I have been friends since like 2015, and the amount of friends who like I have told recently that I'm like, yeah, no, I'm boy. I may be pretty boy, but I am boy. Um, they were just like, oh yeah, we saw this coming. I'm like, I didn't. How? And they're like, Ridley, you literally out of nowhere would be like, what if I had a dick? Like all the time, just like, doesn't everybody want a penis? Doesn't everybody just?
I kind
And
of do. I kind of do. but I've always wanted to pee standing up, and that is probably, I mean, I guess I could just pee standing up, but it would be very messy. What I'm saying is
but
that I
but
gotta
it
just
but it
move
was a
it.
thing that I fixated on. Like almost every party, I was just like, what if I did? What if I just like, like you can call me your boyfriend, like just stuff like that. And they're just like, how did you not know? For years I've been talking about not wanting a chest.
Yeah.
And then for a very, very long time be like, no. No, I remember in middle school, like I had a friend who was very
Shopping was
flat
kind of,
chested and I was so jealous. I was
yeah.
so jealous. I was just like, get this off of me. Like I don't.
Yeah. Shopping was horrendous with
Mm-hmm.
this kid for years. I mean, back to school shopping was like war. It was like war, and it's like you got to make sure you don't say the wrong thing, and you can't suggest anything. You would turn everything down. It's like, oh my God, this is so hard. It was the hardest. I would not wish it on my worst enemy.
Being
Would
in
not
dressing
wish it.
rooms and having to try stuff on in
Hmm.
like that sort of environment just made me fucking panic. And I would just be so uncomfortable, just constantly. And so I was like trying to deal with that, and then I would just shut down, and then it would be like, but
Oh,
we got
and
to
then
get
the
you the things,
people
and I'm like, I can't handle it.
And then the people would come in and they want to like shop with you or with us, and they're like, "Do they need another size? Can I get a?" And then they would like open the door, and I'm like, "Oh my God, here we go!" Like it's
Hmm.
gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. And luckily, your sister Amber seemed to have some like way of communicating with you during those times. So sometimes I would like invite them to come along and promise to buy them something just so that you would have another person
Hmm.
there if you weren't going to relate to me, and I knew you weren't going to get along with the shop clerk.
Mm-mm.
So that was a thing. That was rough. That
I
was rough.
like, I like, it was just, it was all being overwhelmed. Like, I wasn't like yelling at anybody or being like, fuck you, but like, it was just,
No.
I can't do it.
No,
Oh
it was a
no.
meltdown. It was a meltdown. It was meltdown, and then it was glazed over, and then get me out of here. It was straight up panic attack, and I mean there was nothing but nothing but Starbucks was going to calm this kid down. The tasty frappuccino that has way too much sugar in it was the
Hmm.
only thing that was going to work. Um, but still, then it was the promise of take me home.
Yeah.
Am I really going home now? Like you just weren't having it. And I still feel bad about those things, and there are those. I hope you see that here I was the parent trying to just make sure that you had what you needed for school
Hmm.
so that I could check that off my list and go on to the next thing that I had
I
to do.
I didn't hold you accountable for those things. Like I knew like it was for the better good. I knew it was things I needed. But
Yeah.
the amount of violently uncomfortable I've been in my body for years pops out anytime it has to do with clothes shopping. Even now, I don't like trying stuff on. I look at it, I'm like, this looks like it might fit, and I hope for the best. Because the idea of having to try it on in a store where like other people can walk in, or having to like look at myself in the mirror with all the lights in unflattering
The worst
angles,
lights. They're the worst lights for
fuck those
anybody.
lights.
Anybody with good body image hates trying stuff on in the dressing rooms. But you know, the mom in me was like, I only have $50 to make this happen. I hope they choose wisely because I'm not able to just, this is not growing on trees, and I can't just keep buying the same pair of pants and hoping they fit because
No.
and shoes. Oh my God, the shoes.
Shoes is a complicated thing for me
Oh,
still.
shoes. No, so bad.
I if I like honestly, like we talked about like neurodivergence, and me having some issues with like sensory processing things. Um, and honestly, it boils down to like if I could live in my grandpa robe, I would. If I could just if it was socially acceptable for me to be in my robe every day and just wear my
So you're
slippers, I'd be fine.
the Big Lebowski, huh?
Exactly. Actually, spot on. I'm the dude.
You're the dude.
I'm the
You're the
dude.
dude.
Yeah, no, it all, like, looking back at that sort of stuff now, like, it makes sense to me, like, oh, that was me freaking out about dysphoria, or oh, that was.
It makes sense to me now too. It's like finally, it's like we're on the. I mean, I know that the journey is still yet new, but
Mhm.
it's like we're on the other side of figuring out why.
Yeah.
Why was that such a struggle? Why was that so intense? Why, what, all of these? Why were you so angry for no reason? It wasn't for no reason. There was a lot underlining there, and you know, not even as your mom, but just as somebody in your life, I am super, super proud that you have even explored these thoughts because it's got to be terrifying. It's got to be terrifying.
It is. It is scary. Like, there's this TikTok user there's two actually. One of them is my friend. He lives in Florida. His name's Rizem. I care for him very deeply. But the other one I don't know. He's just somebody that I look up to on TikTok, and he goes by Little Sun Boy. And seeing both Rizem and Little Sun Boy, seeing their content, like Rizem's trans, and so is Little Sun Boy, and they're both opposite sides. But I had this very set idea that I couldn't be trans because if I was transitioning, then I would just be masculine, very burly man. Because that's the only thing that was valid, which is not how that works. Because gender is a spectrum, and just because you start to transition or take hormones doesn't mean that you have to look a certain way in order to be valid. But
Right.
I couldn't process that because I was trying to unlearn, what I had grown up with, like thinking,
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Little Sun Boy in particular, and he is trans man. He's always wearing girls' clothes. He likes to wear makeup. His thing is like, I'm a bimboy. I'm a bimbo, but I'm a boy. And
Okay.
and seeing that sort of fuckery with gender expression made sense to me. And I was like, that's an option. Wait, hold on. Wait. And then I had to do a lot of sitting with myself. I ended up getting very drunk one night. I called two friends and I was like, I need help. I think I'm a boy and I don't know what's happening. And they're just like, okay, cool, let's talk about it. And I'm like, can I just talk about how I'm feeling with all let me just spout some stuff at you. And they're like, okay, go ahead. And so I was doing it. They're like, it sounds, yeah, I think you're right on this. And I was like, fuck, I don't know how to deal with this. So like it took me,
Where do I start?
yeah, because it's like realizing it afterwards, you're just like, okay, well, how do I get rid of this feeling? Of like, okay, I've identified what's been making me upset and what's been making me uncomfortable. And I know what I can do now, but I can't afford it yet. And now it's like way down the line. And now I have to sit with this. And now I have to like try to assert that I'm a boy to a bunch of people who are only going to see girl
And hear girl.
and hear girl. And like, it's, I have people in my life that are still gonna be like, oh yeah, you're handsome or whatever, but like it's hard not to feel alienated or isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Like pre-transition anything, like once you realize all that stuff, you're like, okay, all right, like let me do the thing. You get so excited and you're like, oh fuck, I have to sit with this for a while.
You have to sit with it for a long while.
For a long while. And like it's hard. Like while I should have been very like proud after coming out, as this and being like, hell yeah, I'm full of so much pride. I was just like, okay, this is another thing. This is a huge thing that I need to adapt to. Like
And kind of defend yourself. You gotta kind of protect yourself during this time frame.
I got really sad after everything because I didn't know how to, you know, assert that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like the because I'm a content creator. That's what I do for jobs. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that was very me looking very feminine and doing like makeup looks and huge old eyelashes and you know wearing cute stuff, and that didn't feel applicable anymore. And I felt like if I were to continue doing that, that I would just be even more uncomfortable and I would start like resenting what I did for work, or like even just like making like TikToks, like
Mm-hmm.
because TikTok started as my coping skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was like in unhealthy living environments, because I've always liked creating.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved like video editing and doing like fun, cool, artsy things. It was my coping mechanism, just like creating. And I had built a following that was they were very used to one thing.
Yeah.
And to come at them sideways with like, hey, by the way, like everything's different and I'm not actually like that. And this has all been a ruse is
Yeah.
like, it's hard to come to terms with, I guess, if that makes sense. And like
Yeah.
even like dating, like I I hopped onto Bumble during quarantine, um, because I just wanted to like text somebody and like flirt. I just wanted to feel like somebody like wanted me, you know. And it's so dating apps are very much catered to cisgender bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, cisgender means like you relate to the sex that you were born with.
Okay.
So like you would be a cisgender female
Okay.
because there's no like thought in your head of like, oh, am I non-binary, oh, am I trans, like you relate to everything body wise, everything gender wise that is associated with your sex, so cisgender. But
Okay.
like if you say you're non-binary or trans on a dating app, it's like putting a target on you for harassment, for people just not understanding, or people just flat out ignoring like your identity, which sucks and
Mm-hmm.
feels really like it feels isolating. It feels like I can't really get like close in that way. And then there's a lot of people who know me pre-transition and pre even buzzed haircut or me wearing binders or trying to express myself in the way that I want to right now, that they have to meet me all over again.
Yeah.
And it's an adaptation sort of, like, I don't know if I'm voicing it correctly, but like I am happy and I am proud and I feel like I have like a lot of things figured out, but it comes with a lot of like new things that I hadn't thought about, and I feel like I have to like completely rework my life in a lot of areas in order to be completely authentic and genuine.
Right.
And it's a
I think
process.
I think there's a truth in that. I think there is a truth in that. And I know that you had posted not too long ago. God, these cats. He is being very demanding. This is the time that I would normally be on a couch cuddling, and I'm not, and I'm in trouble. So this is we may have to cut this short because she's not. Excuse me, she is not having it right now. Anywho, um, you had posted something in regards to how to start as family or friends, being respectful of that trans person in your life. So I
Mhm.
am now in the process of saying, my son, I have two boys and a girl. I
Mhm.
refer to you as Ridley, not to your face, but also, when you're not here,
Which I
there's
appreciate.
I'm doing it, and I remember one of the biggest things is dad and I just feeling so like we're going to offend you at some point because our brains are damaged, in our own way. And like, poor dad has this one guy that comes over and helps him take care of like wood and um, projects in the yard or whatever. His name is Colin, but dad keeps calling him, he's called him Kevin, he's called him Kyle, he's called him Kendall. He's called him Colby. He's called him everything
But
but Colin. And I'm just like, I don't know how he's going to get this down. And I mean, we were talking with you yesterday, and I flipped with the she. He slipped with the she.
mhm.
Um, and there is a process to it where it is you just simply correct yourself, you say you're sorry, and you move on. The more of a big deal that you make about it, it generally makes it worse. Not
Mhm.
only for the person transitioning, but also because now it's a big thing in your brain, and now you're more likely to mess up again because there's something that has to do with the connectedness of that. And
Mhm.
one of my friends that I'm learning sign language from, Cassie, has told me that. So just be very calm, say you're sorry, correct yourself, and move on.
Mhm.
So there's that. Um, let's see, we've got about 15 minutes before I have to go. I could stay on a little bit longer, but was there anything else you wanted to say or help educate um, the people in the chat before we open it up for questions? Or are you just ready for questions?
Um, I think like mainly I just want to say like when it comes to like messing up with pronouns that like best approach really is just like saying sorry and moving on. But I know for me, like when it comes to me interacting with you or interacting with others, because I'm very aware of what I look and what I sound like right now. It makes me uncomfortable in my own self, but I'm aware of how people are going to present me, and not everybody's going to be in the know. You know, I don't expect them to have like a laser scanner and it like pops up and it's like male. Like not everybody's going to be in the know.
Mhm.
Um, but whenever people do slip up with me, I try to just gently correct it. Like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm not a woman. I'm this, but thank you for the compliment, or blah blah blah. Like, and I'll just be like, thank you, but I'm this,
Mhm.
and move on. Unless it's with malicious intent, I will generally be like, okay, all right, well, it's this, but okay. Um, unless it's like a thing where I feel like people are just like purposely ignoring me,
Oh,
because I've had people do that, where like I've sat them down like 10 different times and be like, hey, I am this. And then they're
uh-huh.
just like, okay, Miss Girl. And I'm like, how many times? But
I
that's a
mean,
different
terms
scenario.
of endearment, as a parent, terms of endearment, you have to check yourself.
Mm,
You got to check yourself in so many different ways, things that were comfortable. Like I used to call you Rachel,
mm,
because you were like a little Godzilla that would come in and destroy each room with toys just everywhere. I just clean everything up. And then here you come, like barreling through, these terms of endearment that go back in history, and we're trying to find different ways and different things and different ways to, still give those terms of endearment. I call them babe a lot. I
babe is still fine.
Babe, it's totally fine. But then also, at one point, when I was not doing well with stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to mess up all the time. And it was really beating myself up, and which you can't do that, parents. You can't do that. Can't beat yourself up. Just move on.
Mm,
I presented to Ridley. I'm like, okay, you're only allowed to call me Raven. You're not allowed to call me mom. and they were like, "Oh, I get it. Now I get it." Like it's like that was something that was our relationship from birth. How do you undo this?
It's
I
just
don't think that you have to undo it. You just got to find an appropriate segue.
it just takes like adapting, learning. It's a learning experience for both of us. We're both trying to figure out what feels comfortable, and like within our own relationship with each other, and even just like personally as our own selves.
People's,
Like
yeah.
I came to a point where like I've gone through maybe way too fucking much in the past 5 years. A lot more than someone's fair share amount of bullshit. And I, especially within quarantine, have realized that like I can't hold on to that anymore, or let that hold me down from being who I've always wanted to be, and living in a way that feels freeing to me. And
Stalker. Stalker.
it's just something that, in order to survive at this point, I need to just be me and not live my life for anybody else, worried about how people are going to perceive me or accept me. Doesn't matter. I have a small support group who I love and care about, who sees me for me, and sees me genuinely for me, like good and bad, even when I'm being fucking stinky. Like, still loves
See
me
you,
at the end of the day.
you stinky bug.
But at this point, like for my own survival, like I need to be as genuine and authentic with myself and with others, and like there's really no other option than to present myself in that way. Like and hiding isn't an option anymore. I will
Well,
disappear.
that whole thing of trying to make somebody else comfortable, hiding who you are to make somebody else comfortable is a flat out lie. You're actually doing the opposite of what you're trying to intend.
Mm-hmm.
Because now nobody's comfortable because they can pretty much feel, if anybody has a heart, can pretty much feel that you're uncomfortable and
Mm-hmm.
that it was just, like you said, a ruse. And those people that you want to be intimate with or, have a close relationship with, um, are going to see right through that real quickly, real quickly. So why be anything other than what you really want to be? And, your mama said you can be anything you want to be if you just put your mind to it.
Speak your truth.
Speak your truth. Always, always, always with the speak your truth. What is your truth? Tell me your truth. Yeah. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Tell me your truth, because and I will say out there with parents that do have kids that are in the process of transitioning, just be vulnerable and be honest. And if you have questions, then maybe phrase them in a different way, or maybe talk with one of your friends about it and say, does this sound bad or does this sound bad? Whatever. But get online and do some damn education. There's some really good links that I'm sure Ridley is going to send to me, so that I can put it in the description box once this thing uploads. And that way you can start doing that. That education has helped me a lot, some of the research, and just having an open dialogue. And sometimes we're not good. Sometimes we're not having the best day. But if I say, hey, what do you think about this? And does that mean this? Or like, I mean, just yesterday you told me you were talking about hormones, and I said, does this mean I'm gonna answer the phone and it's gonna be hello mother?
Yeah, because
It's okay to laugh about some of this stuff because it is
And I
Yeah,
was talking about trans as a spectrum, and you're like, what does that mean?
what does that mean? Like, how do I apply this?
And I'm like, oh well, trans is a spectrum. That's non-binary is the white part of the flag,
Yeah.
and all that jazz. But I I'm very grateful that you and I have come to the point where we have in our relationship, and that you can see me as a son, and that you love me and support me, and I'm really happy with all the growth that we've done over the past couple of years.
We did good
It's
stuff. We did really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I I I'm very grateful that you even I'm grateful that you brought me in and you are choosing to trust me with this information. Like I'm very I'm very honored. I'm very honored that you trust me with this because um I'm so uber sensitive about all different kinds of stuff and being an empath and having intuition and all that other stuff. It's so different when it's your kid. It's so different. And you and I have been through so much stuff together in our previous life. And then now, as individuals, we're changing and turning into our most authentic selves. And you coming out and you feeling strong enough because I was there virtually holding your hand to do what you did on Facebook was
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And to have a front row seat was I was very honored that you trusted me to do that. But my love for you will be there no matter. However, it's always going to be there. It's not going to be conditional on whether or not you wore a dress, or whether your hair is a certain way, or whether or not you put eyelashes on, or whatever. You're the beautiful soul that was born to me, and you are still that beautiful soul. That doesn't change. That never changes. Ever. Get out your tissues, everybody.
Fine.
You can't handle it.
Oh.
That is, yeah, everybody's like, I'm not crying. Like, right? You are, absolutely born this way. Lady Gaga. Go. However,
Stream Chromatica. Get the Oreos.
but, I'm just blessed. I'm like super blessed. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it sounds like a Christian way of saying things, many blessings. I always in almost every video saying many blessings. But you are one of those many blessings for me. And even in our dark times, and when I was just like, when is my kid coming back to me? When is my kid coming back to me? And I'm so grateful that you decided, as and comfortable as it was when you were going through your darkest time and I was going through a pretty yucky time as well, that we somehow found each other again. And I feel like we are closer than ever in some ways. And I know that this one's just like, well, what is it going to mean when when I have a top surgery and I'm going to need somebody to take care of me, and I'm going to have a partner or a roommate or whatever. And I'm like, I'm here. I'm taking care of you. I'm right here, and I always will be. So I know that we're trying to set up a situation where I think you're going to stay in San Antonio for a little while longer and run out your lease, and then you're trying to move up here, whether it's with us or with a roommate situation of somebody that you already know, just so that we can be closer, so that this
Like
wonderful relationship can continue.
Yeah, like if I can't figure out my shit in San Antonio and can't find a support system, can't find anything working for me here anymore, then I want to move to be closer because I I miss you. I
I miss you too.
I like there's times where I do live alone. I'm lonely all the time, and like I was even crying the other night because I just felt really overwhelmed, and sometimes like I just want a hug from my mom.
Yeah.
I just want I want to watch Bee and Puppy Cat. and
Which
and
you
eat
were surprised
popcorn.
I watched that whole thing. I watched the whole thing. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was really surprised that you watched the whole thing. I was like, oh, I thought you were just indulging me by watching like the couple episodes while I was here, but
No, I
got
watched
into it.
they ran off to go do something with Amber and they came back and they're like, you're still watching? I'm like, yeah, I finished the whole series. Yeah. Ridley likes anime, so Bee and Puppy Cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, all right, let's open it up to questions.
Yes.
Let's open it up to questions. We've cried, we love each other, it's all apparent.
Oh,
All right, if you have a question for either myself as a parent or or for Ridley, then type it away, put it in bold so that we can see it very clearly, and we'll go from there. We'll go
yeah.
from there.
Go
Yeah.
from um,
Noah says, "Oh my God, Ridley is coming to the Pacific Northwest with us."
possibly. I, I I'm struggling here currently, so we'll see if I can make it to the end of my lease. We'll see what I can do, but
Yeah.
um,
You do like the Pacific Northwest. The last time, actually, the couple of times that you've been here, you did like it. There was a lot more to do when there wasn't COVID going on. And I will say that where we live here on the island is a very rural, so there's not a whole lot to do here. There are separate little hamlets or towns and little things, but without the tourism industry going on right now and COVID, it's just everything is just curbside and outdoor intense, and it's raining and cold, and it's just not fun. It's just not fun. But you did like some of the stuff that you saw, like McMiniman.
yeah, no, I mean, I I like it. I just I struggle in like smaller town areas
Yeah.
because I'm a restless person and my main mode is manic like all the time. So having things close early, I'm like, I can't be left alone with my thoughts. What? No. Excuse me.
You just shift and do something different. I mean, that's all.
Yeah.
Like usually things shut down and people go somewhere else, or Seattle is right there. That's why we live on this side of the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so far, no questions. Wonder what's going on.
starting over in a new place and a new phase in your life can be a good thing. Yeah, I mean, there is something very powerful about like, and this is something that I've come across a couple different times in my life. Mind you, I am 24, and that sounds like stupid to a lot of people who are older than me, but I've crammed a lot of trauma and life experience into those 24 years, unfortunately. But there is something about hitting rock bottom and hitting your lowest and finding the strength and spite to go, because you realize once you hit like bottom, like there's really nowhere else to go but up. There is something empowering about that. It's shitty, but you're like, no, this is all on me. No, okay, I did this. Holy shit. Like when I first moved into here after living with Don for a while, because I was technically homeless during that time period. I was staying with him, but that wasn't my house. That was a friend doing me a favor. But saving up the money that I did, finding this place, and like the night that I finally got in here, I just sobbed. And I was like, I fucking did that. Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm saying Ridley should do more art and sell it. I have a complicated relationship with art right now. I would like to get back to it, but most of my art right now is more digital. Like I do Twitch and I make silly little videos. I'm thinking about making a YouTube myself, but I'm not quite sure yet. Resilience. Yes, Noah. Ridley, what's your Twitch channel name so I can sub? It's R the Impaler. RTHEIMPALOR. I just hit affiliate, so which is really exciting.
That is really exciting. They've worked really hard.
I'm planning a like 12-hour stream to
Ooh.
celebrate.
Whoa, wait, whoa, 12 hours. What do you think you're your mom or something that you can do 24 hours? Like
I'll do 48.
Are you?
I'll do
No,
48.
no, are you hearing this?
There lived a certain man in Russia long ago. He was big and strong with the eyes of flaming gold.
Oh my word. Here we go.
Rah, rah,
Here we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. Is there anything else? I have a cat that is now clawing at my leg.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, Buck is behaving surprisingly. He yelled at me a couple times, but he's been
No, it took 48 hours. Like, you know what? Honestly, Noah, the last 24-hour one really wasn't that bad. And I think you were right. It was the start time. I think it was all about that start time. We had it off. Okay. After this post, can you, what does it say? After this post, can you put a link to his Twitch in the description? Yes, I will put a link to Ridley's Twitch. And also, Ridley, will you please send me at least a couple of educational links and some things where you get that about the LGBTQ community as well as trans community and questions, answers for family members, I think. And also, I think it's really important to also talk about, suicide and what trans people go through and how important it is for family and friends to be accepting and open and because their life is already hard enough and you don't need to sit there and challenge them with crap that has nothing to do with you. So get over yourself. Get over yourself and stop.
Yeah, I can find some educational resources as well. And I'll send them to you once we're done. Do any of y'all have questions for me? No, since I tap out at like 36 hours, I get that. If I'm very manic, I can go on for a long time.
It's not a superpower. Your mother's like, no.
It's not a superpower, but I'm just saying I'm going to be doing a 12-hour stream. I thought about doing 24-hour, but
you can do it as long as you have somebody else there. Right, Noah? You can do it. It's very helpful.
I don't have somebody else. I don't have somebody else. I just have friends online that I can be like, hey, do you want to play games with me? Do you want to like play a game where we're astronauts in space and we kill each other?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are some people. Batsy Kellington, I think I said that correct. Said that you. Let's see. I got to go back up there because it's up there. I have been transitioning since 2007. If you ever want to talk, I'm here to listen. So found an open door there, little sweet friend. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Both for sharing their story and insights. I know it helps so many. These are the kind of conversations that people need to be having. I had a friend's child come out as trans. I'm glad that like us just being genuine and authentic can like relate to some people. I'm really glad that you're doing this series, Mom.
Thanks.
I think it's important. I know that I don't really see a whole lot of like trans representation or mental health representation in a way that isn't very pandering, that isn't just like, okay, well, here's like the realities of the situation. Like, it's not all fun and rainbows. It's not all just like corporate
It's not all
rainbows.
pride parades and flags, people.
Yeah. And it's nice to talk just so off the cuff and just be very, yeah, no, this is how it is. And I feel very blessed that y'all are even here, like listening to little old me, or like hearing me out, and that my mom has people that like watch her and follow her along on her journey as well. Thank you for taking care of my family, of my loved one.
Oh, made me cry. You made me cry again. I can't do Oh, it's crying. Okay, with that, I wanted to go over the list a little bit because I have a very apparently this truth talk. Oh, hey, here you go. Here's one. Ridley, Liz, I'll put it up there. There you go.
Do you prefer he, him over they, them? So right now my pronouns are he, they. So it's both. I prefer he, him, just because, we do live in a world that is very ignorant. And when I do start transitioning, people aren't going to understand.
They're not going to understand.
Non-binary is harder to explain to people because they don't understand that trans and gender and sexuality.
Uh-oh. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, something weird happened with my phone. But I do prefer he, him over they, them right now, just because like when I do start transitioning and such, that's going to be safer for me as well. Passing is the goal.
Passing is the goal. I I will say that although I have gotten used to the they them, I've been calling everybody they them because I'm covering all of my bases. It was working out for me, but then somebody caught on, and it's just like, so Mom, you're just gonna call everybody they them, and I'm like, yep,
yeah,
because it's
just everybody.
But what is happening? The they them felt so impersonal. Like instead of me saying I have a son, it seems like I have a son instead of they, them, like it felt weird. It just felt wrong. And it was bad English. It's bad grammar.
I still like they, them pronouns. Like I still like using them, sprinkling them in, because I do feel like, I don't know, I don't quite relate to completely just one gender. I don't like feeling so trapped in a box in that way, because my gender expression is not going to be like a typical cisgender, quote unquote, normal male. It's not. I'm going to be in drag a lot. That's just,
and that is confusing. That's confusing to like people like me that at times are ignorant about this. I can be very understanding, I can be very supportive, but it's not the culture that I'm in. And then I come from, my generation wasn't as open about this type of stuff. They just weren't, and it was silent stuff. People went through it on their own, and even still then didn't. I mean, it's just like, it's great when Frankenfurter does does everything, but to see it in real life was startling, I think, for most people not living in the big city. That isn't a thing. It's just not a little thing. Gotcha. You were looking at something?
I saw somebody say something about Mercury retrograde, and I was like, that shit sucks right now.
I hate that planet so much.
Mercury?
I don't even like it when it's not in retrograde. Just the fact that it can go retrograde at any given moment and cause me such grief. And people are like, you're just using it as an excuse. And I'm like, no, really bad things happen. Always.
I'm
Not sometimes, always.
I mean, I'm a Gemini. I am a Mercury ruled planet, and
Hell.
these times hurt. But there's also something going on with like Leo Moon. That is a big thing that's happening right now, and I'm a Leo rising. So, anyway, I would like 2021 to be the year that I get a fucking break. That would be nice.
Yes. Oh,
I think it's time that I have quote unquote a fucking break.
Yeah. I think there are many people in the chat going, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For sure. Oh, the desert siren saying the exact same thing. Oh my gosh, everybody give a break. It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think that your break is coming. I think your break is coming. I think that we've given ourselves some pretty good foundation. And, you know, you've got your mama and your daddy and a sister that all love you, and a brother and a little Elena and all these other people that, you know, feel like family. You have your blood family, but you also have some chosen family, and we're not leaving you, and we're not never abandoning you. So we're here, and pick the phone, talk with me. I'm in an office. We talk all the time anyhow. So
yeah.
you're probably
I'm calling you while you're at work.
I know. I'm just like, I tell customers, hold on. Like, I'm the worst. I'm like I'm over it.
Oh my God. May everyone have a break in 2021. Fucking men.
Amen.
Exactly.
I thank you so much for being brave and coming on to my channel and having this chatty chat with me. And you're welcome back at any time. And if you do decide that you want to do a YouTube channel in your journey, you know, that would rock. Somebody said that we need to do podcasting. I don't know how to podcast other than going like this. And then now you can just hear my voice. And there's the podcast. That's the extent of my podcasting abilities. However, as I hacked to death. So today is the 1st, and we're talking to Ridley. We had to reschedule Desert Siren to a different day, which I want to say is Sunday the 7th. So I have a calendar of people that have signed up for this. So coming up, the next talk will be with Trish on Wednesday morning. That is Bean Bag Hagwag, and that is at 9 a.m. Most people are probably not going to be able to make it live with us then, but it will repost, and you guys will get to see that. And then Saturday, I'm talking with Miss Elaine. And then Sunday, I'm talking to Desert Siren. And then in between there, my magical herb education will kick off with the bay leaf. Woohoo! Yep. So those are things happening here on the channel. And I just want to thank you again so much for coming on. I love you so much.
I love you so much.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Many blessings, you guys. We love and leave you, and have an excellent night. And if there's anything that we can answer, then please, by all means, private message us. All right.
Sounds good.
You stay right there, Ridley.
Okay.
I will say goodbye to everybody else. Love and leave you, and have a good night, you guys.
Bye, everyone.